So we are on lesson 321, which says, Father, my freedom is in you alone. A reminder that true freedom isn't about being independent or doing whatever you want. It's about lining with something far greater. You have no idea how these lessons are and themes are on point for me at the moment. It's like I'm being told off. Because I have literally, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but it's like I have noticed over the last couple of days that I have this fear of letting go of control. And this is it. You know that I don't know if the clothing brand you've seen Fear of God. I actually think like I have unconsciously had a fear of God, have had a fear of that infiniteness of who I am, of letting go because it is so unknown. I said it in the podcast with Karina the other day, and people fear their limitless nature because of the unknown. They fear the unknown. And whilst I'm here preaching it, I'm actually facing parts of myself that are terrified, that are and I'm noticing that. I'm noticing the aspects of myself that keep looping backwards, that keep feeling like it's in Groundhog Day. And I'm like, no. And I'm becoming more aware of it. And as I become aware of that, that leaves and another layer reveals itself. And it's just felt like a constant battle. But it's because I've been trying to control the unfolding, right? I've been trying to grip onto it because there's a part of me that fears the unknown and this intimate relationship, if you like, with God, which is just, yeah, no idea where that stems from, but it's a story that I've been unraveling the last week or so. And so again, this is just a beautiful realization in real time that and I know this is the thing. We know we've said in the previous lessons that everything you are seeking is within you, is within your true nature, is within God. But this is the thing, you get it, and then you meet a piece of yourself that doesn't want you to get it on a deeper level, and you cling on to that, and then you're aware that you're clinging on to it and you let it go, and it just feels like you're in this constant push and pull, tug and war. I've literally been feeling like I'm in at war with myself. So whilst however many lessons ago I've said I understand that, or I've been saying, true freedom and true fulfillment isn't out there, you find it within, there's still been a huge aspect of me that's not grasped that, that's not understood that, because I've had this fear of finding that freedom within. Because here's the thing, I think if I find that, does that mean I won't then get the things outside of me? Right? If I find this freedom with God and I find this oneness and love with God, does that mean then? And I spoke to Karina about this the other day. Remember, not actually, it was a couple of weeks ago. I said, Karina, when I'm in that blissful state, I don't need anything. So therefore, I think, well, what if I then don't get to have anything? She's like, it doesn't work like that. But I have that fear that it does. I have that fear that it does. That because I'll be so happy and content with nothing, I will have nothing. And that's a lie. That's a lie the ego has created to not keep me in my true nature. Right?
Yeah, and I just want to say, just so everyone knows, it's not just you, Sammy. It's a very common fear. It is
Mm.
like the ultimate ego's tool to keep you in there, in the stories, in the illusions, because that is the big fear. So I'm sure many people resonate, and I had that fear too. It's very, very common. So
Yeah, it's getting me so emotional because I know that when I first built Inner Bloom, it was something greater than me channeling through me, and it was such a beautiful experience. And I feel like I've gone on this journey of 1 minute being in that, and then the next minute being in force, control, manipulation, being controlled and overpowered by the ego. And then I find myself back in the flow with God and the freedom of God. And I'm like, yes, this, I'm connected to the mission, I'm connected to the vision, I'm connected to God. And then I fall back into the illusion. And so I'm really, really just witnessing the journey that I've been on and how I have been in this tug of war in and out of my true nature. And yeah, you are witnessing this in real time. So if you're witnessing this from me in real time, I know that you feel the same too. So all of these times where you feel like maybe you're not getting it, or maybe you get it, and then because I've been feeling like one day I wake up and I get it, and the next day I get up and I don't. And I'm like, I am done with this push and pull. 1 minute I'm like in my true nature, the next minute I'm immersed in the stories. Right? So if you feel that way, you're not alone. It happens to every single one of us. And I want to anchor back into the lesson because if I was going to go round and around the houses here, but just to refocus us, it says, Father, my freedom is in you alone. When you surrender to that, you discover that freedom has always been yours. The ego says freedom means doing my own thing. I'm free when no one controls me. I'll be free when I escape the rules, escaping the matrix, blah, blah, blah. Just another, if you like, distortion. The only thing you need to escape is the distortion and illusions in the stories, right? And this is what A Course in Miracles is teaching us. Real freedom isn't the absence of structure or authority, it's the alignment with the structure of love and the authority of truth. When you stop guiding yourself and start listening to that inner voice of God, you find freedom in following your true self rather than fighting for it. Your freedom isn't outside you, lost somewhere in the future, or dependent on circumstances. It's within you, as we've spoke about before. Um, And I love that it says here, you don't win freedom by breaking rules. You find freedom by hearing the right voice, the one that always guides you home. That's it from me on this.
Thank you. Yeah. Lesson 321. Father, my freedom is in you alone. I made a post on Facebook the other day and I said, freedom isn't found in the pursuit of pleasure and the running from pain or something like that. In the running towards pleasure and running from pain, it is found in the collapse of duality. And this is exactly what this is saying. The ego thinks that you'll find freedom in shutting out anything that you fear, anything that you think is going to cause you some sort of pain, and running towards and chasing the things that you believe will bring you pleasure or that maybe do bring you pleasure. And first of all, on the really, really dark, deep, like contracted, dense stories, experiences in life, we can see how this isn't true because like a drug user, somebody has a deep addiction to drugs, they're running from pain, running from both emotional pain and physical pain in their use of the drug, but also the way that the drug cycle works is, you take the drug and you get the high and you feel the pleasure, and then the drug wears off and you have the come down, which is like really awful. Like, and then you go and seek that pleasure again, we run from that pain, you run from that come down, you run from, and the thing about like anything, whether it's like a big drug or whether it's more subtle addictions, like, you know, I guess alcohol is not really a subtle addiction, but any addiction that has that cycle, it's like the come down is so worse, not just because of the physical effects, but because that emotional pain that you've been running from comes back stronger and deeper and louder than before you were numbing it with the substance. And so it's the cycle of like pleasure and then even a deeper pain, and then you run from the deeper pain by seeking that pleasure, and then da da da. I mean, people do this with sex, people do this with work, people do this with success, right? The pleasure of like, yes, I achieved something, I worked hard, I got something, and then it's like, but anyway, we can use, so even in that you can see it, but even more on just like a life on a subtle way, we go seeking all these pleasurable things and we run from pain, and what it does is it's no different than the drug cycle. It magnifies the pain comes back louder, the pain comes back stronger, and the pleasure never seems to hit as hard each time you go and find it. And it can be on the most subtle things. It could be on something that you think is good for you or healthy for you. But whenever you're in that, you're always going to be trapped because the ego, the ego's path to freedom, which is not path to freedom, it's a path of getting you trapped further and further into the illusion. Um, it's always going to amplify the pain because that is its little like carrot. That's the thing that it takes you forward. That's the thing that gets you trapped is this whole cycle. I'm kind of like rambling at this point. But the true freedom is found in the collapse of duality. And what I mean by that is the recognition of God, the recognition of truth, the recognition of our true nature, the recognition of what we talked about in the theme, that true creation and truth is always based in love. It's in the recognition that we are love, in the removing ourselves from the getting involved in the swing of duality, the swing of the emotional thing, and allowing all the darkness to come up and be dissolved in the light of awareness. So we talked about the last judgment, where all the illusions, all the false stories come up and get burned up in the light of awareness, in the light of truth, in the light of love. When Sammy was talking about destruction, and I came in and interjected and just said, well, there is a destruction, but it's the destruction of the illusions. Just like we talked about with the last judgment, it's the burning up of the illusions, it's the burning up of the stories, it's the burning up of the fear, it's the burning up of the grievances in the light of love, in the light of awareness, in the light of forgiveness, right? And that is the true path of freedom. It's in allowing everything to arise, and what is false, what is ego creation, burns up and self-destructs. And what is truth, love, peace, joy, limitlessness remains. And so that is where your true freedom is. And then one other thing is that in this lesson, it says, today we answer for the world, which will be freed along with us. So in our own finding of freedom, in our own becoming free, we shine that light out to the world and we free the world along with us. It creates that ripple effect. So that is all of our purpose. That is your purpose. That is my purpose. And then it affects the whole entire world. So we really do have a beautiful, holy mission on this earth. And it's not to go out and convince other people. It's not to go out and save other people. It's to find freedom in ourselves so it can ripple out. Because what we give ourselves is given to the world and multiplied and amplified out into the world. Okay. The prayer. I did not understand what made me free, nor what my freedom is, nor where to look to find it. God, I have searched in vain until I heard your voice directing me. Now I would guide myself no more, for I have neither made nor understood the way to find my freedom. But I trust in you, you who endowed me with the freedom as your holy Son will not be lost to me. You who endowed me with freedom as your holy son, as your holy child, will not be lost to me. Your voice directs me, and the way to you is opening and clear to me at last. God, my freedom is in you alone. God, it is my will that I return. Sammy?
I love that so much. And you shared that so beautifully, like the freedom, find it yourself, and then it ripples out. I love that. It was such a beautiful message. And it's definitely something that I need to recognize and get into. So thank you for sharing that. That is it, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow.